Hello everyone. It's been a while since my last sign of life here, but I find it fascinating that first of all, none of my subscribers dropped out and instead I even gained new subscribers here and there. So a big thank you to all subscribers and a big welcome to all newcomers. We have passed the mark of the 300 legendary fighters of Sparta. We have also passed 333. My next intermediate goal is predictable, considering my channel name. Staying true to my devilish nature, I want to reach 666 subscribers as soon as possible, which means doubling the current subscriber count. To achieve this, I think it would be quite beneficial to publish new content here more regularly than once per year. That's exactly what I plan to do, and I want to inform you about what I have planned for the near future. But first, a few words about the long break. This had several reasons. On the one hand, private ones, and they will remain private. On the other hand, it was a lack of motivation for various reasons, some of them pretty obvious. Since I talk the way I want to talk, without compromising my words, to please nonsensical community guidelines, as it should be possible in a free, actual, progressive and enlightened society, I will not start censoring myself because some stinking morons' fifis might be heard, and as that has become increasingly impossible on big tech platforms like YouTube, my motivation to make more content was tending towards zero. After all, what's the point in making a video with facts, sources and evidence if it is deleted 5 minutes after publication because of irrational fantasy reasons such as hate speech or the like? That happens to me 3 times, then the channel is gone. I don't want that, especially since the channel already has a permanent warning. Not because of a video of mine. No, I had mirrored another video about the G20 summit in Hamburg and it was removed because of hate speech. Although there was not one word in this video that could be seriously interpreted as hate speech. Especially since, as I said, there is no such thing as hate speech anyway. There is either freedom of speech or there's censorship. It is really that simple. Anyone telling you anything else is lying. I don't care which propaganda terms the companies use to paint their censorship in a positive light. It is completely irrelevant. It is and remains censorship and restriction of freedom of speech. Furthermore, my editor who did the video editing has left. The guy has now a child and wife and is studying, so there's not much time left to edit videos. The still pending number 1 video of my top 10 thinkers worthy of respect in German and English will probably be by and large his last contributions here, mainly because he and I do not have the same ideas regarding the future of the channel. I want to make a difference with this, not just being another voice dealing with the daily news from Absurdistan and the world, because we already have more than enough of that here and on other platforms. I want to deal primarily with the general questions and mechanisms behind the current decline of the former Western high culture. With the question why people, both the driving forces and the masses, act and react in this country and elsewhere the way they do at the moment. And for this, you have to have a reasonably good understanding of human history, from high culture back to the Stone Age, as well as of the human psyche, the human brain and mass psychology, to be able to look at it reasonably objective without drifting into the realm of tinfoil hats or world-saving utopias, which is not as easy as it may sound. My editor sees the channel only as a small hobby in between, when there is time for it. And with that, we have the next problem. I can write texts. I can write scripts. I'm quite good at that. I can also voice these texts more or less well. But that's about it regarding my talents. Video editing is not my thing at all. I neither enjoy it nor have the necessary know-how. That's another motivation blocker for me, especially since at the latest when rendering, my ancient PC is on its last legs. And secondly, depending on the size of the file, I can't do anything else on it for several hours. So it comes down to the fact that I put off unpleasant things like editing. And if there's one thing I'm the uncrowned king of, it's procrastination. And making videos in the style of Styx Hexenhammer 666, who I can recommend to you wholeheartedly, I would like to do that, because I have as much to say as he does and he makes 3 to 4 videos a day, but that doesn't work for me because of 2 things. Firstly, I don't want to show my face in front of the camera for various reasons, because it doesn't make my arguments any better or worse if you see my ugly mug or not. And secondly, I unfortunately can't talk freely as fluently as Styx. There would be far too many and unfinished sentences and fumbles, as you can see in my Valomat videos from 2017 and 2019. I always need a script, especially when it comes to relevant topics, which I have preferably filled with facts, sources and so on, so that I can get my points across to you in a reasonably coherent way. I also expect a lot from you. In some of my texts you have to listen intently to stay up to speed. Surely this won't make me a channel with millions of subscribers, but as I said, media mass stultification, i.e. entertainment in which you can at best put your brain on standby, at worst be emotionally manipulated. There is more than enough of this, not only on YouTube, but practically everywhere in our modern media. And that this is consumed unreflectively by millions of people says more than enough about the so-called human swarm intelligence, at least to me. Or to say it with the brilliant George Carlin, realize how stupid the average person is, and then realize that about half of them are even stupider. That explains a lot. But I'm digressing again. Back to the editing situation. So either I need someone who enjoys editing to handle it for me, but for now I'm unable to pay anything for this, or most of the videos will just be spoken text without much visual support. While for special videos I'll try my luck with editing programs like Premiere, which will probably turn out amateurish. What does all this mean for the future of the Thinking Devil channel? To avoid the censorship problem, and to ensure that even if my channel gets deleted from YouTube, all videos will still be available, I have uploaded all previous videos to the alternative platforms in the last few weeks. So Thinking Devil can now be found on Rumble, on Dailymotion, on Gegenstimme TV, on Bitchute and on Odysee. As for social media, besides Twitter, Thinking Devil is now also on Gab, Parler, GETTR and Minds. On Minds I might upload the video archive as well. If you don't want to miss any of my stuff, please follow me on these platforms as well. In addition, I will no longer deal with explosive topics on YouTube, such as one or the other election, health issues, and questions of freedom of opinion and speech, but publish exclusive videos on the other platforms and put at most a trailer on YouTube. In addition, I would like to call on you to write in the comments which of the above mentioned alternative platforms you use besides YouTube and why. By the way, I can tell you my attitude toward the most current topic with the following censorship-proof words. My body, my choice, and no means no. And those who know me and my love for freedom know that I do not allow myself to be blackmailed or coerced into anything by the state or my social environment. I do not negotiate with terrorists. Freedom has to be placed before health and security at all times and in all places. There is no debate or discussion about that. If you think otherwise, please list me all the wars, uprisings and revolutions that have taken place in human history because of health. Meanwhile, I list all the ones that took place because of liberty and freedom. Anyway, on YouTube you will see mainly light entertainment topics from me in the future, but of course always with a political critical perspective, as I will try to show which mechanisms, basic narrative structures, tricks and techniques make characters and stories timeless or at least relevant, and which are clumsy propaganda of misguided ideologies. So again, I want to try to add value and not just subjectively ramble on about why I think something is great or bad. So expect something in the vein of Midnight's Edge, Geeks and Gamers, Overlord DVD, Nerdrotic, JXZ, Rex and Mauler. I will continue to do German and English videos, but not as rigorously as with the top 10, i.e. not every video that appears in German will also appear in English and vice versa. This even makes sense, because one of my currently planned videos is a German translation of a text from the blog of the Australian YouTuber Fringy on the topic of politics and entertainment media, which absolutely hits the nail on the head and should urgently be made accessible to a German-speaking audience. In addition, I intend to create a video on the concept of the hero's journey, which runs through all cultures and completely contradicts the postmodern image of human beings that is being portrayed by the Western media in the 21st century. After number 1 of the top 10 thinkers worthy of respect is published, there will also be a short update on the top 10, because some people who were mentioned positively in the earlier episodes have either made a complete 180-degree turn, like Blilo, who now has as much to do with logic as Joe Biden has to do with competence, or have drifted into religious crazyland like Milo, who suddenly no longer wants to be gay and approves of therapies that are supposed to dissuade gay people from being gay. Although the therapies he promotes are not coercive, but opt-in. That is, only an offer for gays who do not feel comfortable in their skin and can voluntarily book such therapy, as should be perfectly okay in a free society. Supply and demand. If there is a demand for these therapies, they are successful and obviously fill a gap in the market. If there isn't, they aren't. It is as simple as that. But back to the topic. Other intellectuals like Sam Harris with his Trump derangement syndrome or Richard Dawkins with his irrational attitude towards the measures have also lost ground in recent years. Instead, Peter, the lesser Hitchens, has turned into a proper freedom advocate and voice of reason in the last year and a half. Next, I want to do something about the death of comedy caused by political correctness. And I want to do a series on the alternative channels about the dumbing down of the masses by the modern propaganda machinery. But it will have a more pointed name there, which I can't reveal here. A little hint. There are 2 words. The second word is heir, as in heritage, heirs. And if you are aware of a name from German history that stands for propaganda like no other, you have the title of the series in which I will pick apart the Münchhausen gang of the public broadcasters with relish and not just them. In addition, I also want to do something on the subject of language and the media abuse of the same, explain rhetorical tricks and sleight of hand so that people get an ear and eye for it. For comics fans, I'll delve a bit into the history of Mad Magazine. Did you know that they got their start in the 50s as just comic books? By the way, the fact that Mad no longer exists is also a sign that comedy is going down, because Mad was always politically incorrect. Then, I'm currently working on a video about the history of video games in which I take apart the unrealistic and fact-free feminist narrative that women didn't even exist behind the scenes in the video game world until recently, which is always propagated by snake oil salesmen like Anita Sarkeesian. Also, I want to try my hand at a Let's Play. Don't worry, this won't become a Let's Play channel, especially since I will try to offer you an added value here like in my other videos. I want to show you how good entertainment works in the 21st century with the example of the Yakuza series and give my opinion about the story and the characters. Since Yakuza also has endless side quests, where you don't necessarily have to say anything, I can use them as visual background to talk to you about current topics of the day and kill several birds with one stone. I currently do not know if I will do an English playthrough also or just the German one, we'll see. And last but not least, I want to draw your attention to entertainment media. Movies, series, books and so on that are timeless and therefore still relevant today. Because there are alternatives to the garbage of unoriginal remakes, reboots, reimaginings and other postmodern deconstructions of pop culture icons we are flooded with by Hollywood, Netflix, Amazon, Apple and other big corporations with the aim to indoctrinate us and our children with radical leftist cultural Marxist ideas. Always remember, when companies, politicians or other figures talk about diversity and inclusion, it always means making things equal which inherently are not, combined with discrimination against white people, the exact opposite of what these words actually should stand for. To give you a few examples of classic timeless entertainment, Callan from the 60s is better than any modern Bond. Legend of Galactic Heroes is the greatest space epic of all time. Gunsmoke conveys Western values and draws three-dimensional characters. And these are just 3 examples of these timeless stories that, unlike today's Hollywood junk, understood the core of humanity. And that's exactly why they are so timeless. In addition, I want to point out the handling of US TV series of the 70s and 80s by our public broadcasting service in Germany, because it is not just in recent years that the public broadcasting service dares to dictate to us what we are allowed to watch and listen to and what not. If you only knew how much ARD and ZDF have censored the heroes of our childhood and youth. Relevant story arcs were withheld from the German audience, as well as countless episodes, and always for political reasons. Because, as I said, the public broadcasting services have seen themselves as the guardians of what the German people are allowed to see and hear since their founding. There is a reason why they tried with all means to prevent the establishment of private TV stations back in the 80s. Think about it. You already realized that I couldn't care less about the golden YouTube rules of specializing in one area. This channel is a fountain of wonders with something of everything in it. And with that, it somehow fits right in with developing an individual profile. Because the channel is a good mirror of me, I always do exactly what I want, when I want, and how I want. Individualism, personal responsibility, media, and freedom are and will remain the themes that run like a thread through everything I do on this channel for as long as I live. So you see, I have a lot of plans. If I can realize only a fraction of it, you already have a lot of new content from me in the future, and who knows, maybe there will even be a solution regarding editing. Sooner or later I will also try to do live streams, where we can read interesting articles and such, but that's all from me at this point. Now I'm going to start to work on these projects, or rather, before I published this video I already pre-produced a few of them, so you can expect at least some new videos soon. With this in mind, have a good time, thank you for your loyalty and interest, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Watch this space. I'll be back. See you in hell.